Can a person give money to Afghanistan if they know that a portion of that money will go towards terrorism? Now I know, Afghanistan, that's old news, it happened already. We've moved on to COP26 and Elon Musk selling 10% of his shares based on a Twitter poll, but the important part here is that there are currently studies and reports emerging from the country that suggest it is facing the largest humanitarian crisis in its history. What's causing this humanitarian crisis is the sad fact that up to 95% of Afghanistan's entire population faces the very real possibility of starvation as we approach the cold winter months. What caused this? Well, that would be the fact that most Western countries completely severed and cut their aid donations to the country in the wake of the Taliban taking over. Now, I get it, it's complicated. When we step back and think about where these donations are going, it's almost impossible to really know. We wonder to ourselves, perhaps some of it is going to a regime that disregards entirely women's rights, that doesn't believe in freedom of speech, that does overtly support a number of terrorist organizations. But then you take another step back and you start to think, is it possible that sometimes a negative means can justify a positive end? And what I mean by that is actually reflected in one of the most profound questions in halakha, the system of Jewish law, which is a concept we call mitzvah haba ba'avera, which means a person does something that isn't good in order to arrive at a circumstance that is good. For example, Robin Hood. Is it okay to steal from the rich to give to the poor? Now, we idolize such characters sometimes, and we do come up with an assumption that that's totally okay to do. But from a Jewish perspective, it's actually incredibly complicated. And the answer isn't often also clear. And I guess that's a question for you guys to think about. Was it right for the Western world to cut all of its support and aid for Afghanistan in light of the fact that some of those means were negative, and yet there were positive ends? Or should we be looking at re-engaging and maybe brushing certain negativities under the carpet in order to provide that country with a bit of hope for its future?